Coming in at number 6 on this year's 2023 NHL Draft rankings, it's Dalibor Dvorsky. He's been playing in Sweden in the second tier in the Allsvenskan, but he's another Slovak. Pilsy, the resurgence of Slovak hockey is here. They had, was it 3 first-round picks? First overall, second overall last year with Juraj Slafkovsky, Simon Nemec, and Filip Mesar as well. So do the Habs go for a third dip into Slovakia at 5? Dalibor Dvorsky right in that mix, but he's the type of guy where I feel like there's a couple guys who we've done over the years where they've been on the scene for so long where it's almost like scouts just try to find something wrong with their game, or maybe it's just an oversaturation of viewings of these players because when he was 15 years old, he was being touted. It's like Connor Bedard, Dalibor Dvorsky, and now we see there's quite a gap between the two.
Well, the way I look at that, Ross, is very similar to Atu Ratti. So Atu Ratti, years before his draft, this guy's going number 1. He's top 3 for sure. Put it in the bank. Like, first, he has so much talent. We're scouting this guy insanely for the next couple years. But then what happens, Ross, is when these guys dominate at such a young age and scouts are aware of them and are watching them, if they don't continue to make improvements, then scouts kind of sour on them because it's like, well, sure, that was amazing when you were 15, but you're still doing the stuff we're doing at 15, which is exceptional. But now it's kind of average at 17, right? So I think that might be something that's happened to Dalibor Dvorsky here. Not to say that's a big knock on him, but sometimes when you're not able to kind of compound those skills and keep building and building, it kind of it brings you down a little bit.
He's still number 6, though, on our rankings. And our rankings are brought to you by 7 different scouts. We add up their lists, check it twice, and then divide it by the amount of people who have them on their list. So Dalibor Dvorsky is 6'1", 200 pounds and 1. And he's been playing with AIK in the Allsvenskan, where he had 6 goals, 8 assists, good for 14 points in 38 games, 16 penalty minutes as well. And he actually played 17 games in that pro league as a 16-year-old as well, which goes to show you that this guy was kind of above his age class for a long time growing up. Bob McKenzie, whose list is predicated off of scouts, not his own thoughts, the scouts that he talks to, he does a poll, and that's the highest one at 6. But this just shows you just how all over the place this draft is, because only one of our 7 scouts have him as high at 6, but that's where he lands on average based on the scores of the other players in this area. We've got Craig Button at 9, Corey Pronman at 8, Scott Wheeler at 9, Rachel Dory at 9, Chris Peters at 9, Elite Prospects down at 11. And what's interesting about Elite Prospects' thoughts of him as well is they kept going back and forth. They couldn't make a decision, Pilsy, on Dalibor Dvorsky. They kept going back and forth. I want to pull up exactly where it was, because he started the year a little bit higher. Then he went down. Then here it is. He started at number 8, then went to 11, then 17, and then finished the year off at 11. So it's just been all over the place for Dalibor Dvorsky.
Yeah, it really has. And that's what a bunch of scouts, like even Scott Wheeler, Corey Pronman, their kind of initial comments on Dvorsky are, well, it's been an up and down year. And Ross, like you mentioned, if you subscribe to EP, you can get the game logs. And that's very apparent looking through his game logs. Couple games in J20, handful of games in the Allsvenskan, back, forth, up and down. And his minutes, Ross, it's crazy. He's bounced around in the leagues, and he was playing anywhere from 5 minutes a night to 21 minutes a night. Like, it's insane the differences that he's kind of went through throughout the season. And I think that was obviously apparent with the Allsvenskan coaches saying, you know, I think he's ready for this, but maybe not full time, and we need to keep sending him down or what have you. So, an interesting path for Dvorsky in his draft year.
If you want to see some eye-popping numbers, though, go look at his stats against his own age group, and not even that, because he's one of the younger players in this draft. He's a June birthday, so he'll be turning 18 in June in a week and a half. He'll be 18. So still 17 years old right now. But man, look, you want to roll out those junior numbers, because for some people they just see the numbers and don't necessarily take into the league. But this guy, if you put him in against his age group, he excels.
Yeah, in the J20 National League, In 10 games, he had 10 goals, 11 assists, and 21 points. And then in the playoffs, he played 3 games in that league and had 4 points. So it's clear that amongst his peers, he's very good. And
well, that's J20 against his own peers with the Slovak under-18 World Under-18 tournament, had 13 points in 7 games. So even though this guy's known as a two-way forward, kind of a guy who you can put in, he plays the middle of the ice. I think we did mention he's a center, but he's the kind of guy who's going to be responsible defensively. It's just against men, the offense hasn't popped, but that's the gamble you're taking here is, can the offense end up popping as he grows into his frame?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I've had to remind myself, rehashing this draft process, that you do need to judge players on the scale of the competition they're playing. Like, a guy putting up huge numbers in the queue is going to look very different than a guy putting up less than average numbers in the Allsvenskan or in Liga, right? So it is a fine balance when you're looking at these high-end prospects, being like, okay, those numbers are underwhelming, but where was he playing? So that's a big point to make. And Dvorsky is really touted as a two-way guy. So his numbers aren't the full story here. And he's got good size and he's able to play well defensively. He's going hard for those puck battles in the boards. And I think he's a player that has a very high floor. Like, he's going to be a safe pick, but maybe not such a high ceiling. You know what you're going to get from him, but how much can he improve, I think, is what scouts are going to be looking at here.
I think in a floor to middle situation, I like Jordan Staal as a player comparable for him. I think he's going to be a consistent guy, maybe not like the leadership. I know Jordan Staal has been a captain for a long time and was also a very high pick, I believe 3rd overall.
Yeah, he was.
I kind of like that, like, really defensive minded, but can contribute offensively. Elite Prospects has it a bit different. They have Bo Horvat and Elias Lindholm as the shades of when they do it. They don't like the direct player comparable, but just shades of, and they call him versatile, a tactician, and just a guy whose physicality will really help, I think, as he grows older. They have him as the 4th best power forward in the draft and the 4th best two-way forward in the draft. So all interesting notes there from Elite Prospects, and you agree with them that he's a safe pick. Where do you see him kind of landing in this range? Where do you see a team fit for him?
As far as like one specific team that's going to pick him?
Yes.
I'm trying to think who is in that range.
Philly at 7 kind of stands out.
Yeah, I don't see the Coyotes taking him. I don't see the Habs could take him, but I don't think they're going to do that. I've got Will Smith as a Hab. So yeah, Philly makes a lot of sense here. The thing with Dvorsky is I don't know if he's going to have that breakthrough quality that a top 10 pick in one of the deepest drafts should have here. Like, solid two-way forward, good size, plays well defensively. He's a shoot-first center that's going to create chances by just getting the puck on net, and his teammates are going to get rebounds. But I don't know. For me, Ross, and I'm going back to my 5-star rating system, I got him at 3.5 stars, and not because I want to knock him that much, but just because I don't see that huge excitement surrounding him.
EP Draft Guide. What are the scouts saying about him? They're saying he's more quick than explosive, a good skater, but perhaps not a great one. His anticipation serves him well as a playmaker, but he's not exceptionally deceptive by any means. His shot is well above average, and perhaps the closest he comes to having a defined separating skill. Corey Prodman says Dvorsky is quite dangerous inside the offensive zone, has excellent puck skills in small areas, and can make checkers routinely miss in open ice. Yeah, I think that the perfect situation for him is to come over to North America as soon as possible. He's been in the Europe system for so long and kind of been bouncing back and forth as we've seen with other guys. I think if you put him in your system as early as this upcoming season and have him go to the AHL, I think that would be perfect. But don't have him bounce up and down and make his NHL debut next year. Do the Sens podcast, Josh Norris development path. Full year in the AHL. Don't touch him. See where the development's at. If he's showing like, hey, he's banging on the door, make the team out of camp next year. But if not, I think 2 years in the AHL could be really good for Dalibor Dvorsky.
Yep, I agree. Definitely.
So that's Dalibor Dvorsky, who comes in at number 6 on our 2023 NHL Draft rankings. If this is your first profile you're watching, all of them available to you on the Locked On Senators YouTube page.